Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Make a Good Mega Man Level Contest 2, or Magmal 2 for short. During the last part, I cleared the two highest ranking stages of Tier 9, those being Gutsman's Asteroid as well as Sheriff Man, and defeated the boss of Tier 9, who was Butter Nezumi from Nezumi Man. So before I move on to Tier 10, I'll pay a visit to the costume shop to swap over my costume. Now, as I'll show over here, I've already worn all of these costumes before and I haven't unlocked any new ones. I will be unlocking one new one soonish, hopefully. So instead, I'll be wearing another custom costume. In this case, I will be wearing the Toadman costume by Fabian. Just like before, I will be providing a link to the Magmal 2 Wiki's custom costume section so you can download this as well. I really like how the devs allowed us to add custom costumes to really add to the replayability and better customize our experiences with our own OCs or other fun characters. There's a lot of fun stuff there that hopefully I'll be able to get around to showing off. Everything else is about the same. Here's our charge shot. It's kind of funny seeing how Toadman slides though. It's kind of derpy. Same color changes as before. Differences are of course with the utilities. Sakugane instead is the Ratons. Kind of strange why we have Ratons, but I guess it's because the Ratons or mice enemies originated from Toadman's stage back in Mega Man 4. Rush Coil is instead the whatever this enemy's called. The parachuting enemies from Toadman's stage. And the Rush Jet is this pelican enemy also from Toadman's stage. Makes sense. I really like this attention to detail and how all of these enemies Toadman is using for utilities all originate from his stage. I'm playing as Toadman because I really think he should get some time to shine, especially due to his earlier failures and incompetence and poor lack of skill. Anyways, just like Gyro Man mentioned, Tier 10 is just to the left of Dr. Light's lab. And because I completed Tier 9, well, time to go to Tier 10, where all the 10 best levels lie. Yes, Tier 1 contained 10 levels, and Tiers 2 through 9 contained 8 levels each, and now the final tier will contain 10 levels. Hopefully I got the numbers right. I think I made a mistake with Tier 1's number. I'll correct it in the description below. 11 energy elements and 36 noble nickels. One of the highest number of noble nickels of any tier by far. And it's one of the most spiffy hub worlds. So first off, in 10th place is Boilman by MrKyurem with a score of 40.8. MrKyurem was one of the judges back in Magmal 1, so let's see how their level fares. Really like the starry background here. 1 energy element and 5 noble nickels. Now, I haven't seen footage of most of this level outside of one secret on the left, but I'll go to that secret once I complete the stage for the first time. So first off we start with these Picado 24s. They're used a lot less annoyingly here as opposed to back in Force Man stage in Tier 8. So we have a different version of Fire Boys. This time their fires pierce through walls. They don't ignite the floor basically. They do die in about 4 hits. That looks a bit suspicious there, and I was right. Also, here's a level map. I probably should be just looking at the level map after I complete the stage so I don't spoil myself in the positioning of noble nickels. You know what, I think that's a shortcut, so I'll just backtrack a little bit. This was the other reason why I picked Toadman, because this is a water stage. The main problem with the Picados is their RNG when they decide to open and close. I'm not sure if that was fixed with the dev kit, but at least it doesn't feel as bad as it was in the dev kit. Although that may be just due to the RNG being more favorable to me. Really liking the tile set here. The music is a little bit more on the subdued side, but I suppose it's kind of like a sewer. And that's where the two pathways loop up with each other. Oh wow, I didn't realize we have that sort of back there. I just wonder if this stage will have any custom gimmicks. It does have one custom enemy so far, those being the Fire Boys. Instead of being green, they're red, and now their fires pierce through walls. Oh neat, we have those bubbles from Waveman's stage. I can see them spawning in from the holes in the pipes. Neat. So I guess this is gonna be this stage's gimmick. That looks suspicious down there. Usually bottomless pits are indicated with a fade to black, but I see something down over there. And my suspicions held true, there's actually a noble nickel here. So that's 2 of 5. So I better pay attention to these fake pits. And of course, standing on these bubbles can transition me upwards. And now we have these explosive mines, as well as the crab enemies or crab bots from Mega Man 2's Bubble Man stage. Gotta be a bit careful here so I don't accidentally destroy the ground beneath me. Oh sure, the music is a bit subdued, but I like it. I'm liking how we have to jump out of the water sometimes. Or rather, jumping out of the water decreases our jump height, so we gotta be a bit careful here. Apparently we can't pop the bubbles, good to know. I didn't expect to be able to make that jump. I thought I need to jump on the small bubble first. That's a new enemy, I guess. I don't remember facing those lobster enemies beforehand. Oh goody, we have the Bounders from Mega Man 6. To be fair, we've seen them being utilized well back in Gutsman's Asteroid, as well as the boss fight during Cursor Curse. They're having a lot more mileage as opposed to back in Mega Man 6, that's for sure. That down there is very likely a bottomless pit. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let me check something. Where am I actually? Let me take a look. Okay, I'm down over there. Good to know. I thought I missed something. And apparently those lobsters can actually fire flamethrowers. Well, that's different. I see there. At least these noble nickels aren't too far off. Oh, and I see they actually telegraph when they're gonna do their flamethrower with their eye sparkle for a second. They do die in about 3 or 4 hits. That's noble nickel number 3. I still find it rather humorous how Toadman's sliding animation is here. Fabian did a great job with the sprite animations. Oh, never mind. When you get close enough to them noticing you, then they'll have the shine, then they'll start attacking you. They could have a bit more HP though. So they have exactly 4 HP, so it's just my upgraded Buster Shot that just tears right through them. This, like Sheriff Man, feels like it could fit in a traditional Mega Man Classic stage. Then again, we're in Tier 10, so I suppose all these stages would fit. After all, these are the best of the best. What was that? Sadly, I killed it too fast. Well, at least all these enemies are being introduced safe enough. Okay, so I guess I know why this is called Boilman stage. Because we have these water-type enemies, but several of them actually have fire-type attacks. Because those, whatever those squid-type enemies, I don't know what to call those types of enemies, but effectively they throw a fireball off screen which then lunges towards your last position in a straight line. Not to mention these flamethrower lobsters. Yeah, I knew that was suspicious. I saw that earlier. Okay, they're shielded until they open up, but you can actually shoot above or below their shields if you're skilled enough. And I totally forgot that these bubbles can actually crush you. Whoops. Well, I guess we get to see the checkpoint placement, and yeah, that's fair placement. Okay, so the points just above and below when it's not firing from the center, those are its weak points that are not shielded. This time I'm going to be a lot more careful and not get crushed. For a second there, I thought the left wall over there was a wall of spikes. Oh goody, we have this final gauntlet, I guess. Let me check. Yeah, this is the final gauntlet. Where we need to jump between each of these bubbles. Oh boy. So we don't accidentally fall into the pit below. At least these bubbles cannot be popped. I do appreciate that. If they could be popped, this stage would be a lot more dangerous. Close one there. But that's a nice final gauntlet to emphasize what we learned in the stage. And yes, that looks a bit suspicious. There's no pipe over there, so you need to stay in this room for a while to see that, in fact, there's a secret here. The fifth and final Noble Nickel. And I will waste an E-tank here because I don't want to die again. Let's face the boss, Boilman. I see spikes in the ceiling there. Is this going to be kind of similar to the boss fight against Burstman in Mega Man 7? We'll see. Whenever he stomps on the ground, he creates all these fireballs. Or fire waves. Okay, similar to Flame Man in that regard, or a bit different. But he can also blast his way upwards with all those steam jets. Okay, similar to Burstman there where he's trying to push us into the ceiling. Although we have more time to react. He does it 3 times and does a steam jet upwards, and then does one last fire stomp and fires 3 there. And then he pumps the ground with bubbles and fires the fireballs here. Or flame shots. This is a really learnable boss fight. Easy to understand, and as long as you pay attention, you can do it damageless pretty simply. I like it. But there's one thing left to do in this stage. The one thing I knew about this stage because I saw footage of that part. Remember in the beginning of the stage to the left, which I skipped over? There's no reward for doing this outside some bolts and some extra E and M tanks, but I really want to show it off. I'd say it's actually the best part of the stage. First, the series of hint monitors, or info boxes. and in a lot of Mega Man Maker stages. Thankfully, they weren't too hidden. They were on the easier to medium side. Outside of when you have to jump down those shafts, you need to pay attention to the background there. Yeah, free bonus boss for fun. We can completely ignore it, but I really like this boss fight. Oh, don't worry, I'm rather resistant to meme injuries. So let's do it. Buster only as always. Oops, I meant to talk to you there. But basically he begs for mercy there. And we get all these series of bolts. And free tanks, which I'll gladly take because I'm not at max capacity. Like I mentioned, this is the best part of the stage for me. I like this boss fight a lot more than Boilman. Whereas Boilman would be a good traditional boss, this would be a very fun fortress boss fight. It's a nice callback to Magma 1. In fact, this is a better designed version of the Airman machine fight as opposed or in comparison to Magma 1. We're done with this stage. This was a fun level overall. And here, the usage of Picado 24s weren't that annoying, and they were introduced a lot better here as opposed to Force Man. And I really like how they're combined with the Bounders and the modified Fire Boys. Really clever use of the Waveman bubbles, as well as the sea mines. I really like the custom enemies, what with the whatever that fish was, and the flame-throwing crabs. Both of the boss fights are perfectly learnable as long as you understand them or do them a few times, just like a good traditional Mega Man boss should be. That last room wasn't that bad as long as you took it slowly. And the nice meme to the left of the intro to the stage, that was also cleverly done. We had a super fun boss fight. Really, this feels like a more fun version of Pump Man stage from Mega Man 10. The music is a bit subdued, but I like it. Yeah, several of the Noble Nickels outside of maybe one or two of them were easier than the main pad. It probably should be reversed there. Like I mentioned several times throughout this LP series, the Noble Nickels should be kind of a challenge to get. This definitely belongs in tier 10, at least a 42 for me, or 40, or 41, based on my first impressions. Next up, in 9th place, is Komuso Temple by Savordez, with a score of 41.2. My apologies if I butchered your name. Everyone except Guri really liked it. Although Guri gave it a almost good score anyway. 1 energy element and 3 noble nickels. I watched some footage of this stage, and from what I know, this is one of the stages that only uses dev kit assets. No custom assets utilized here, outside of maybe the background. I really like the usage of Nightman's stage theme here. And because we're in a temple in the sky for some reason, we have mummies. To be fair, I never played Komuso Man's stage in Rockman and Forte 2 Challenger for the Future, so I'm not sure. Oh neat, we have these fan fiends pulling us forwards. And we have Tomahawk Man platforms too. I'll gladly take that E-Tank there. Wait a minute. Oh. Okay, we do not have access to most of the utilities outside of the Sakugarne. That's different. I see. And of course it reset my input. There we go, that's how you're supposed to do it. Clever challenge. The level looks a bit more compressed here as opposed to the previous stage. That looks suspicious to the left there. Yeah, this really looks suspicious, both on the left and right. And I was right, there's a noble nickel here. I have to do it the legitimate way though, because of all these enemies. Not to mention because my utilities are disabled. Wow, I didn't realize that Tomahawk Man platforms can also crush you to death. Well, we learn something new every day. To be fair, the checkpoint was right over here, so it wasn't really much of a loss. Now to jump down properly. For a second there, my sliding didn't work. Okay, a vertical segment right over here, let's go to the right, because I know there's a secret there. I probably should have kept the fan fiend alive over there. I wanted a damage boost over there, but that's the second of third double nickels. You gotta be a bit careful there with the Tomahawk Man platforms because they can crush you, and in that room, it could potentially send you into the spikes above or below. And you need to slide under there once the Tomahawk Man platform is upwards. Oh, poor Dachones. They really should have a buff to their HP, maybe double it, so they aren't that easily dispatched of. I mean, I think they're supposed to be mini-bosses, but they're really regular enemies. I mean, they're even more wimpy than Sniper Armors, Hot Dogs, Tamas, and most mini-bosses. It's such a shame. Remember, always check to the left. There may be some secrets. And for safety's sake, I'll use this. You can do this buster only, but I'd rather take the safe route. And that's the third and final noble nickel. And to be fair, in comparison to Boilman's stage, these are a lot more of a challenge to get, and they are harder than the main routes. And there's me mistiming my jump. Here you need to do sliding quickly so you can get by that segment without falling into the spikes. Well, there's a checkpoint right over here, so not much of a loss. Of course, if you time your jump on the Tomahawk Man platform correctly, you can effectively jump right as it rises back upwards over the spikes. Like here, for example. Just remember to slide off of it. Actually, I want a damage boost here. It makes the challenge a lot easier, after all. I'll use every tool I have in my disposal to make the stage easier, especially with spikes. Why thank you there? Well, I didn't want to come in for a hug, but I'll take it. I see the Komuso Man silhouette in the background there. Time for the last set of challenges, where you need to jump over these platforms while they descend into the spikes there. Now we have better usages of the Dachones. And sadly, I messed up that last part of the challenge. To be fair, I can make this challenge a lot easier by using the Sakugarne, but I'd rather do it legitimately here. Another silhouette in the background. Nice case of foreshadowing. And I really like how the clouds at the bottom of the stage are moving around. It really adds to the feeling that this stage takes place in the sky. More statues or silhouettes. Time to find Komuso Man, let's see if he has any differences. Well, I guess not. I will still fight him Buster only because this is a stage dedicated to him. So that was the end of Komuso Temple, a stage that was mostly comprised of only dev kit assets, outside maybe the background. Those being the moving clouds. A pretty pleasant stage, although I kind of liked Boilman more because it had a custom asset, and I liked his tile setting gimmicks and enemy selection more. Well, in terms of graphical fidelity this is better, but I just like the sewer environment more of the previous stage. And it only had 4 enemies as well, none of them were custom. Difficulty curve was nice. I really like how the Tomahawk Man platforms were introduced and utilized here. A lot better utilized than they were back in Tomahawk Man's original stage, personally speaking. And all the Noble Nickel rooms are hard but fair, and you can make them a bit easier by using the Sakugarne. Oh, the background's from K's story, never mind. And the tile set is a recolored Fairman. I disagree with that, Joopy. They weren't incredibly hard, they were just medium to sort of hard. Yeah, the last room with all those platforms seemed a bit more difficult and kind of a difficulty spike as opposed to the previous parts to the stage. But we had a checkpoint just before it, plus it's kind of like a final exam of all of the Tomahawk Man platform challenges we've seen before. It even used the Dachones better. Yeah, I mean, in many Mega Man Classic stages, even by Capcom, by utilizing special weapons and utilities, you can skip the challenges, but most of those stages are designed to be done Buster only anyway, so there's no need to complain about that. And yes, this stage only utilized one gimmick, those being the Tomahawk Man platforms, and only utilizing them to their fullest extent throughout this level. And this is a quite good success story of using almost solely dev kit assets, especially to those potential contestants for Magmal 3 who do not know that much programming or cannot program custom assets. And checkpoint placement was on the generous side, but they were perfect, always placed before really difficult segments, where they expected that players would die quite a bit. To be fair, at least the Dachon at the end actually had some legitimate challenge. Yeah, I mean, we never even had the Komuso mines. They were in the original Komuso Man stage. Maybe fit them in somewhere? Yeah, I like how they pulled off instant death, especially with the checkpoint placement, and I really like this stage. However, this is where I'll break with the judges in terms of scores. This is one of those stages I'll give a 40. Honestly speaking, I would actually place this back in tier 9, as one of the highest ranking levels. Basically, I'd put Sheriff Man as a 10th place level, Boil Man as a 9th place level, and this is the 11th place level. I just like Sheriff Man more than this one, more due to the custom background, although the main thing that harmed Sheriff Man before, as I talked about, was the lack of a solid gimmick. Perhaps the Tomahawk Man platforms could be transplanted there. Still, I enjoyed this stage. It's a close in terms of quality compared to Sheriff Man and Boiler Man for me. So in the next part, I'll delve deeper into the Starscape of Tier 9. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!